Hi, Pickleball friends. This is Dave, and I want to talk about the 5 lessons learned from teaching a beginner pickleball class. Now, there were many things that came out of the class, but there are 5 that I chose that I think could really help those that are beginners that are watching this, that you can really take away. Number 1 is kind of a softball, but pickleball is fun and easy. And the reason why I bring this up as number 1, you may have seen people play, you may have seen it on TV or on a live stream on YouTube, and it may look a little intimidating. However, there are so many players that are in your position who just want to start, and you can start and not be in those really tough games. You can start and you can have a good time just learning and learning with others who are in the same position as you. So that's why these beginner classes are so wonderful, is because even if you never picked up a paddle before, or if you're coming from a tennis background but have never played pickleball, the beginner classes are so great for you to learn soup to nuts, everything that you need to know in order to get it out there and play and not be embarrassed or embarrass yourself because you don't know how to play. A beginner course is not going to propel you to the top of the ranks. All this beginner course is going to help you do is learn how to play, learn the basics of where you're supposed to be standing, how to do the score, and all those basic fundamentals that are going to position you to have a good time and feel good about yourself, that you know all those things when going into a pickleball game. If you are completely new to the game and you're like, I don't know if I should try it, do a beginner class in wherever region or town or city you're in. There will be a pickleball beginner course. Just look around on the internet and I'm sure you're going to find something. Number 2, this is more of a practical tip and something that's really necessary. Now, again, this is important as you're beginning to learn pickleball and where you're supposed to stand on the court, okay? So there's 2 concepts that are very good. They're kind of mantras that you want to keep in your head. One's called serve and stay, and the other one is return and run. So what does that mean exactly? Now, if you're the serving team and you serve the ball, there's this thing called the 2-bounce rule. What that means is when you hit it over to your opponent's side, it bounces. They hit it back to you. It needs to bounce before you can make contact. So when we say serve and stay, what that means is when you are serving, which is behind the baseline, and the baseline is outside of the court on your side, right? When you serve it, you want to stay behind that baseline until that ball comes back and it hits the ground. Then you can hit it. Now, the premise of serve and stay means, now if you don't serve and stay, if you serve and move up into the court and that ball comes to you and you hit it out of the air, as an example, that is a fault and the point will go to the other team. So it's important that you serve and stay. The reason why you stay is you allow the ball to land on your side before you hit it. If you're the returning team, the people that are going to be receiving the serve, what you're going to be doing is after you hit the ball, so it does have to bounce once on your side, once you return it, you're going to run to the non-volley zone, which is that kitchen, right? The reason why you do that is because it bounced once on your side, and when you hit it, that will bounce once on your opponent's side of the service side. When they hit it back to you, you can hit it out of the air. And if you're closest to the net, that is the best way for you to score points. Being at the non-volley zone or the kitchen is really where most of the points are scored, and it's your best chance of doing so. And in order for you to actually get to that kitchen line or that non-volley zone line, you have to return and run. So if you're on the returning team and you return that ball back to the service side, you want to run to the non-volley zone, get your paddle up, and be ready to play. The next is staying out of the kitchen. Now, the beginners were continually doing this, and this is a big change, especially if you're coming from a tennis background, is that in tennis, there is no non-volley zone, meaning there's no zone in front of the net where you can't go and smash the ball, right? In pickleball, there's 7 feet on each side of the net, and which is called the non-volley zone, in which you cannot be standing in that non-volley zone when you're hitting the ball. What's happening is that if you do that, if you step in to the non-volley zone, the ball is volleyed in the air and you hit it, even if you hit it and your momentum takes you into the non-volley zone, that is a fault and the point would go to the other team. So court awareness, knowing where your feet are, and keeping your balance are 3 critical components to make sure that you are not causing yourself to fault and lose points. Number 4 is the 2 bounce rule. Now, I kind of talked about that in return and run and serve and stay, but the 2 bounce rule is really important because in pickleball, you are not allowed to hit the ball out of the air until the ball bounces twice. So in a real game situation, the service team will serve the ball. It will land on the opponent's side, which is 1 bounce. The returning team would hit it back to the service side. It needs to bounce 1 more time. And after that second bounce, that's when you can hit it out of the air and volley, as long as you're staying out of the non-volley zone. Very important. So if you're at the kitchen line or non-volley zone and you're hitting it back and forth out of the air, make sure you're not stepping into the non-volley zone while you're hitting it, or that will be a fault. And number 5, the 5th lesson learned, is that I heard a lot of people talk about how can I keep playing, right? So I learned the basics of pickleball. I really want to go ahead and play. What I recommend is that you look at any of your town recreational pages on Facebook, and you see if there's any schedules that are up or people that create meetups, or there's an app called Team Reach in which you can find your park or any indoor facilities that offers pickleball and see if there's beginner groups. There usually are. Also, what you could do is actually make friends with some of the beginners in your class and say, look, I don't really have friends that I play with. I'm really getting into it myself. Could we exchange information? And why don't we get together and we can play? We can practice together and play, and maybe we'll ask some other people as well. So pickleball is a social game. It is a game where it's a very welcoming environment. The people are great. They're very supportive. I've never been to a pickleball facility or a meetup or anything where people weren't supportive and they weren't super cool, to be honest with you. Now, are there a few bad apples out there? Probably, but in pickleball, it's less likely to see that. So I hope these 5 lessons really help you. And if you are a beginner, you want to get into pickleball, but you're kind of unsure of it, let me know. I know of some places in which there are offering beginner pickleball lessons, and I can certainly help you out myself too if you need help. So thanks for watching. Have a great day.